We're here with Brian from Sauna Space, and Tanya wants to know all about it. He's going to share that with her, and then Holistic Hilda is going to be our sauna person. She's going to hop in. Okay.
Yeah, this is Sauna Space. This is a near-infrared sauna. It's a light therapy sauna. So we're doing light therapy, or what's called photobiomodulation, in the sauna. So it's a both gentler and more effective detoxification. We use sauna to detox, but in here we use near-infrared light to stimulate our mitochondria to heal all the cells at the same time. So more tolerable, more gentle, but definitely a deeper, more effective detox. And all the benefits of light therapy as well. So when we shine near-infrared light on our cells, on our mitochondria, it boosts cell metabolism, it promotes inflammatory mediation, cell regeneration, there are epigenetic repair effects. So some pretty amazing stuff going on in all cells of the body. All cells of the body have mitochondria except red blood cells. So that's kind of the primer, the basics of what we're doing. We're doing detox, we're doing light therapy, but this is a very special version of our sauna. It has a EMF blocking Faraday cage liner system. So I'm going to show you how that works. This is a body voltage meter. So it measures voltage from electricity. So we've got a lot of dirty electricity in this hotel. So if I measure Hilda's body voltage here, we're getting about 150, 200 volts per meter. So that's increasing the body voltage of her body just by her standing in this dirty electricity space.
Okay.
So now she's inside of the Faraday space. Go ahead and just put your forearm on your lap so it doesn't move. And I'm gonna go ahead and measure her again.
Wow.
So she's completely protected now from all the electric field stress. Now watch this again. If I hold it like this.
Oh, because you're out here?
I'm letting the dirty electricity leak inside into her.
Oh.
As long as I don't touch her, she's completely protected.
How do you feel?
It just feels so safe and quiet in here. It's like a sanctuary from all the bombardment we get that we can't even see.
Right.
I
And
love
so,
it.
do you get too hot though, or do you like it?
No.
Yeah.
Compared to other saunas, this temperature hovers around 100. It's actually quite comfortable.
Okay.
Compared to saunas that take you up to like 150, even 180 degrees, some wet steam saunas.
Yeah.
So it's comfortable. You will get to the point where you're passively sweating.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be super uncomfortable.
That's
Yeah.
part of the detox though, right?
Yeah,
Sweating?
no, you need to heat up the body enough to sweat profusely, but this is a gentle, feel-good sweat.
Okay.
It's very joyful. You have this healing light, it makes you feel happy, and the air temperature being low makes it like not kind of suffocating, kind of like many people find a regular sauna to be kind of intense.
Yeah.
You know, this doesn't have that intensity.
So you can still breathe in it. Like, I think
Yeah.
it gets so stuffy in there sometimes. And other saunas I've been in, but it's not like that in this one.
No, not like that. It's not like the gym sauna at all, experientially. It's very different. And then the EMF thing is a big thing. So it's very quiet to the senses inside. It's hard to describe. You have to kind of feel, it's hard to convey that on the video, but you really feel it. It's the more you're in there, wow, it's almost eerily silent inside. Like everything is kind of away from you when you close this curtain. That's because it's like the first time ever that most people have had a break from this 24-hour EMF stress that anywhere you can get a cell phone signal, you're getting that stress.
Right. So how often do you do this? Daily?
I try to do it daily. I do about 3 or 4 times a week before work,
Yeah.
about half an hour or so.
Okay.
That would be 3 times a week, half-hour session. Getting a nice sweat in each session is kind of like what you need to do to get a good impact on your health. You can use it a lot more than that, though. You can use it up to 1 hour, up to twice a day would be maximum use.
Oh, okay. So now I had a friend I told I was going to be talking to you, and she was wondering, like, what is this made of?
Yeah, so this is intentionally made of completely natural, untreated materials. We have solid basswood in here. It's the lowest, it's the lowest wood oil content wood available. It's not treated in any way. It's just hand polished with a sander. This is a water washed canvas, so it's very unique in that we only use water to clean it up and pre-shrink it. So it's a machine washable fabric, but it's completely not touched with any chemicals at all. So it's very hypoallergenic. Even the bamboo in here is completely untreated. It's just water pressed. So all the hardware is stainless steel. It's not coated with any coatings or any dyes or anything like that. So for people who are very chemically sensitive, we don't want any chemical off-gassing. We don't want any petrochemical exposure. So we've been very insistent in use of materials here to make sure that doesn't happen.
You're good. You're good at this. I can tell. He knows what he's talking about. So there's no glue or anything. Someone asked about glue.
There is a tiny amount of glue in a couple of the wood pieces, but it's a non-toxic FDA food grade wood glue. It's just wood, it's water based.
Okay, got it.
So tell her about the how there is heat emanating from these lights, but you're not even getting the electric field from it because he made this like Faraday cage over the lights.
So we have this Faraday cage liner system, but it's not good enough if we're bringing EMF into the experience. So the light panel itself could be potentially a source of EMF. So we want to mitigate that as well. So we've done that by designing these Faraday cage guards. So they're not just protecting you from burning, because the bulb is very hot to the touch, but they're also protecting you from the electric field. So if I take this inside and I go inside of the bulb, there's electric field in there, but outside, we don't have anything.
Wow,
That's
cool.
You touch anywhere in this place, everything, it's all shielded. And that's because that's all shielded. Internally, there's shielding, and it's a shielded power cord, so it's all completely bolted down and locked down.
How awesome you have that little machine to show us.
Yeah, definitely.
What were you going to say, Hilda?
Well, the reason I'm doing this is like the third time I've been in here today.
Yeah?
Is because it really, apart from all the science, which I am starting to understand, it really does feel like a retreat from the bombardment of the magnetic fields that we're exposed to all the time. And it also feels like, you know how you can have wooden toys in your home or you can have plastic noisy toys that your kids can play with? This feels like one of those really natural wooden toys. Like it feels like this is how it was meant to be. So I really like it as an experience. That's why I volunteered to help out.
Thank you, Hilda.
The question of near infrared versus far infrared comes up a lot.
Yeah.
The difference is one of wavelength, but also what's ancestral and what's not really ancestral. So if we look at sunlight, I have sunlight right here. Sunlight is a full spectrum emission. It's all of these wavelengths in this power distribution. If you look at it, the majority of the area under this curve, so not the majority, but the largest plurality of the sunlight is near infrared actually. Most people don't know this. 41% of sunlight is near infrared. So almost 40% of these lamps is near infrared. We're very closely mimicking that. This here in pink is basically the emission of our bulb. So it's full spectrum like the sun, very close to the natural shape of all the wavelengths in the natural power distribution, and most of it's near infrared.
Okay.
So why near infrared? Well, near infrared does two things. So I have this other chart here. It's pretty cool. Near infrared is between my fingers here, 700 to 1500 nanometers. So majority of we're getting from the bulb. We're getting two things that you can see. We're getting light therapy, which is the mitochondrial healing, and we're also getting heat therapy. So that's what the sun gives us, and that's what this gives us. If we talk about far infrared, only a few percentage of sunlight is actually far infrared. And that's because the far infrared is over here on the chart. It's very low energy, high wavelength infrared. It's only delivering heat, and it's not even something we're getting ancestrally in any significant amount. Whereas every day we're getting this huge boost of near infrared naked on our body at the equator if we were living ancestrally. So that's why we're using this type of light in the sauna. This is the type of light that most closely mimics our ancestral light, that of the sun. That nourishes all life on Earth. So that's kind of the difference between near and far from a wavelength perspective. Light therapy and heat therapy together with near infrared, only heat therapy with far infrared. And if you want to get a little bit more into it, there's also a concept of water absorption. So this is one more science chart and then we're done.
Yeah, I like them though.
So this is water absorption. We're showing how deeply wavelengths penetrate. The more well they're absorbed by water, the less they penetrate. So near infrared penetrates very deep because it's at the beginning of water absorption. Near infrared's been shown to penetrate many inches into the body, up to 9 inches in one NASA study. And you can see that on saunaspace.com.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Typically 4 or 5 inches of penetration. So this is getting in deep and heating you radiantly.
Right.
So that's why this near infrared sauna is only 105 degrees. It's low air temperature and tolerable. A far infrared sauna may be 150 degrees when it's operating because it needs that air to heat you up. It's relying on the air to heat you up. So that's the difference is if you're going to heat up the body, near infrared works better. If you're going to do photobiomodulation, only near infrared does that light therapy. So it's just a better way to do sauna here overall.
So what are some of the, what if some people told you that it helps them with, like, what are some of the benefits that people have said, changes they've noticed?
Yeah, if you go on the website, you can read many customer stories, with thousands and thousands of customers. I mean, there's just, the stories are manifold.
So
People
every
are
health
coming from
condition,
all
basically?
walks of life. I mean, we're talking about autoimmune, orthopedic pain issues, Lyme, chronic disease type stuff, to people dealing with moods and depressions and skin issues.
I guess everything, because if it helps you to detox, it's going to help anything and everything, right?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that, petrochemicals, plastics, and heavy metals are a core contributing factor to all of our disease. We get this environmental toxicants and pollutants out, our cells work better.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then we use the light to repair. So it's important to understand light is the ultimate nutrient. The sun nourishes all life on Earth. We need this, and the majority of what we get is near infrared, and that's what we need.
But the other light that we're exposed to is like a blue light that isn't nurturing, but rather disrupts our natural circadian rhythm. So that's why this light is so critical.
This sort of counters that as well, right?
Yeah, and there's too much blue light. Blue light is high energy light. It's right next to ultraviolet. So these are the killer wavelengths from the sun. But at least the sun is regenerating you with the good red and near infrared.
If you get enough.
If you got enough and you got sunlight. Nowadays we get all this LED light, way too much blue, no red near infrared, and it also flickers. So flickering light that pulses really fast. If you had a child who was on the spectrum or had autism, you wouldn't put a strobing light in front of them. And yet we all sit underneath this strobing light all day long, and it's all like energetically stressing us.
Right.
Not natural, not ancestral. So this light doesn't flicker. It's one more thing I can show you real quick. So this is a flicker meter. Do we have anything that flickers?
Your phone flickers.
Here, this flickers over here.
Oh,
You
yeah.
hear that flickering 120 hertz. So this is what the sun sounds like. So there's no signal it can lock on because it's not flickering.
Oh, right. Okay.
So there's no flicker in here, which is, when you close this curtain, you are blocking out all of that environmental, that man-made pollution. Light,
Awesome.
light pollution, chemical pollution, EMF pollution.
Right. And I love that it's not that big. You could have this in your house easily. It's not, everyone would have a spot probably for this, right?
Yeah, it's just a pop-up design too. It's very lightweight, it's portable, it sets up like a kid's toy.
Yeah.
Very manageable design.
Right. You guys have any questions in there?
No, I just wanted to comment what we were saying before, that it feels like a sanctuary in here, and that brings me to something that Brian was saying earlier, that this can be kind of an ideal meditative space. Do you want to speak to that?
Or
Brian?
prayer.
You have this. People are hyper focused on multitasking and on function and getting the most out of every little thing. And there's not enough focus on being and peace.
Right.
And ancestral humans had rituals, lots of rituals, and we love rituals nowadays. These are our habits. Let's bring back one of the most important ancestral rituals of peacefulness and of meditative practice, where you're sitting there and you're just not doing anything. You're just being.
It's so rare these days.
It's so rare to do so many things. We're overstimulated, we're oversaturated, we have no time to ourselves, and yet here you can have a half an hour and not be bothered by anybody and anything. And that's such a luxury, such a rarity nowadays. But you can make that a part of your modern life. Have this really ancient ritual practice of escaping from all this sympathetic stimulus.
I'd have to threaten my kids. When you see that shut, if you open that curtain, you're going to be grounded or whatever.
Yeah, we're going to have to put a lock on this.
Wasn't there even Charles Wesley's mother? She had 12 kids. Do you know this story?
No.
And she would take her dress and put it over her head, and the children knew not to bother her. That was her quiet devotional time.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of the same thing. But I love it. I love it so much. So thank you for designing this with such care. It's just a fantastic product.
Tanya, do you have any questions?
Well, I asked Hilda, but how did you treat the canvas that it's keeping everything out? What is it treated
Oh, the
with?
EMF?
Yes.
So it's not the canvas. It's actually, there's a silver-plated copper thread material here, where they're nano copper threads. They're very close together, and they're basically simulating a metal box. And it's actually two layers. One is that layer for high-frequency shielding, and then there's a conductive stainless steel layer that is grounded connected with cables that you don't see and ground into the light panel. So that's blocking high and low frequency from coming in. So it's pretty cool because it's basically like a machine washable metal box. That is, it's an optional liner system that we offer as, you know, an upgrade to the base sauna product for those who want that ultimate protection, that ultimate, you know, parasympathetic space.
Right. Wonderful. I love it. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks so much,
Thank you.
Brian, for
Yeah,
everything.
No, thank you, Kelly.